If you see this same corner, their shapes are not the same. So for the back, you select this seam corner on the back. I'm going to make this seam corner 90 degrees on this side too, shoulder seam. If you click OK, the shape is changing. Then you see the shapes are much similar. Hi, I'm Jin. Welcome to Pattern Studio 101. Today, we're working with the Pant system. If you're new here, Pant is a professional pattern making software used in the fashion industry. What I really like about it is that it runs on a cloud-based subscription. So there's no big upfront cost like you would see with most other high-end CAD programs. That makes it a lot more accessible. They also offer a 1-month free trial if you want to test it out before committing. And just so you know, I'm a Pant affiliate, so if you do sign up, you can use my code PS101A for an extra discount on your subscription. Now, whether you are working as a pattern maker for a fashion brand or running your own design business, knowing how to use a CAD program is a real advantage. It makes your workflow faster, more accurate, and more flexible. Okay, in today's session, we're going to look at how to set your pattern pieces for final use. When you draft patterns in Pant, they live in the plan view. To get them ready for a marker, you need to move them over to piece view. And that's also where you will add seam allowance. I'll walk you through all of that using the square neck top we drafted together in episode 248 and 257. So let's pull that up and get started. Here we go. These are the patterns we drafted. We drafted this base frame with the body measurement, and we set the pattern pieces in plan view. Sometimes I make the pattern this way. I mean, the top is here and the bottom is here for your convenience. But I strongly recommend you make a pattern this way, since this is the grain line in the system. Maybe it's not very comfortable in the beginning, but I'm sure you will get used to it. And you can see whatever you need to see with this direction. So to set the piece, you need to select the contour line of the pattern pieces. So in this case, it's very simple. This is the contour line for the back pattern. Go to menu, treatment, set piece. The shortcut is Control E. Pattern name, piece name. If you need to add description, piece code, you can go ahead. I'm going to cut one pair, which means you are going to have the seam at the center back. Since I want to have a zipper for the opening, I'm going to cut two, so one pair for the back pattern. If this top is big enough, so you can put on over the head, you might want to cut just single and make the center back fold line. This is going to be piece clone and editable from master only. Click OK. Then you can see the pattern piece is copied exactly the same on the piece view. So you see you have all the labels and grain lines. Do the same for the front. Since we don't have any internal lines, you can just select the whole pattern piece as a contour line. Control E, set piece, and we are going to cut just one single because the center front is mirror line. Of course, fabric is self. This is going to be piece clone, and we are going to add it only master pattern. Click OK. Neck band, Control E, set piece, and I'm going to cut one pair even though the center front is the mirror line, because we need two layers of outside and inside. Check off this piece clone and editable from master only. Click OK. You have neckband here. Since I said I'm going to have a zipper at the center back, let's make a notch where the zipper ends. Select the center back segment. Select the tool, add point to segment. Click the center back neck point. Let's say 25 centimeter and OK. Select this point. Go to menu, treatment, item info. Point is going to be the regular and simple notch. Okay. When you created the notch here, you see the notch is on the piece view as well. So you're going to have a zipper on this center back. To add the seam allowance, select the tool, seam allowance. Select the neckline, click on the neckline. You can decide how much you want to have the seam allowance. Because the neckline is curved line, I would have 0.7 centimeter for the seam allowance. And this is the seam allowance. Okay, then armhole also, and you select the armhole curve, click the armhole curve, same 0.7 centimeter. For the shoulder seam and the side seam and the center back, you can select multiple segments like this when you add the same seam allowance. So click any segment. I'm going to have 1 centimeter of seam allowance. For the hem, the seam allowance can be varied depending on what construction you're going to have. If you are going to do baby hem, 0.7 centimeter would be okay. If you want to have double turn, 1 centimeter would be good. Let's say I want to have 1.5 centimeter top stitch along the shirt hem. Then the seam allowance should be a little bit bigger than the top stitch width you want. So I would go with 1.7 centimeter. I don't recommend bigger than 2 centimeter in this case, since the hem line is not just straight. It is a little bit curved line. If your fabric has a little bit flexibility, like stretchable, maybe you can have 2 or 2.5 centimeter with the hem. But if your fabric is like zero stretch, like linen or cotton, it's going to be hard to construct. To add notches for the seam allowance, you select the sewing line, go to treatment, item info. So the shortcut is Control I. I'm going to have notches on both ends. Click OK. For the side seam, you select the sewing line, Control I. I'm going to have a notch only on the underarm point. So you see here number 1, the side 1. Okay. For the center back, you need notch here, number 2. For the shoulder seam, it's better to have both ends. We're going to revise the seam corner after we add seam allowance to the front panel. So let's move on to the front. Neckline. Let's say you want to add the seam allowance here, 0.7 centimeter. And this seam as well. So if you select the segment, the neckline segment, and then this segment, you see the pad connect automatically the shoulder seam and the center front because there's no points here. So I'm going to select separately, select the neckline, select the tool, seam allowance, 0.7 centimeter. And I would select this segment, outer neckline on the neck band, and the neckline on the body pattern. With the seam allowance, 0.7 centimeter. The center front will be mirror line, so I don't need seam allowance. But the shoulder, both of them, it's going to be 1 centimeter. Select the armhole curve, 0.7 centimeter, and side seam, 1 centimeter. And the blouse hem, we had 1.7 centimeter to the back, so the same for the front. Before we mirror the piece, I'm going to add notches. To select the hem sewing line, we need a notch only this side seam because this is going to be the fold line. So side 2. For the side seam, at the underarm point, so side 2. For the shoulder, you know you're going to stitch this neckline first and then stitch the shoulder seam with the back. So you need notch only this armhole side, So this side 1, and here, side 2 at the neckband. Okay, then next, seam corners. Because this hemline is fold up, right? You select the seam corner and item info, Control I. So you see the number. The side seam is number 1. This hem is number 2. So it's going to be the hem on side 2. If you click OK, this corner is fixed. Same, you select this corner on the front, Control I, item info. So this time, number 1 is the hemline. So we're going to make hem on side 1. Click OK. You don't see big changes because this is pretty much 90 degrees. And I see this underarm point, front and back pretty much the same, so I don't have to do anything. Let's take a look at the shoulder seam. When you stitch up the shoulder seam, front and back, it's going to be like this. You need to flip the front neckband. If you see this seam corner, their shapes are not the same. So for the back, you select this seam corner on the back. I'm going to make this seam corner 90 degrees on this side too, shoulder seam. If you click OK, the shape is changing. Then you see the shapes are much similar. But still, I can do the same on the front. So you select this corner, item info, same 90 degrees corner on side 2, and it cuts off a little bit. When you put two patterns on top of each other, it's going to be very easier for sewers to match two pieces to stitch up. Okay, I'm going to flip it again and bring back to the front. Okay, we didn't add seam allowance on the center front, but you have to mirror the piece to the pattern on the plan view. To select the center front line, select the tool mirror and just click to the segment. Then it mirrored the piece on the piece view as well, right? You can do the same for this neckband. So center front with the tool mirror, you click and you mirrored. On the center front, select all these 3 points, coat treatment, notches. I'm going to have simple notches there. Once you have all the pattern pieces ready on the piece view, you're going to see all these pieces in your marker. If you have any questions, leave the comment below. Have a beautiful week. See you next time. If you're enjoying this video, I just want you to know I made pad system hotkey list. Using shortcuts while you're working with pad will improve your work speed and efficiency. Head over to my website patternstudio101.com and download my pad system hotkey list. It's free.